Good evening and thank you for joining us for KREM 2 News 10 at 10, where we give you more news in less time. Let's get started. New tonight, a driver suspected of being under the influence blew through a stop sign and flipped a truck, trapping 2 people inside. KREM 2's Kyle Simchuk was on scene tonight as fire crews cut through the cab.
This happened here near the intersection of 30th and Perry on Spokane South Hill this evening. 2 people were taken to the hospital, and the man who police say hit them was hauled off to jail.
As soon as I saw it, I ran down the stairs and ran right over to see what was going on.
Neighbors near 30th and Perry watched as Spokane firefighters used the jaws of life to rescue 2 people trapped inside this Toyota pickup truck. Police say they were heading south on Perry when a man suspected of being under the influence slammed into them.
Ended up looking over, and this car that was the smaller car was driving through this intersection through the stop sign. He didn't stop. He just plowed right through it.
Damian Stanfeld called 911 and tried to help the victims.
They weren't really responding too much at first because they were kind of shocked, but they were just like, we were trying to see if they could get out, and they were saying they were stuck. I just told them once the phone with the cops was over, I told them that the fire department right over there was about to be on their way.
Spokane Fire Station 11 is just 2 blocks from the crash. Firefighters cut through the truck's roof and freed the 2 adults inside. Police say they suffered minor injuries and were taken to the hospital to be evaluated. Across the street, the driver suspected of being under the influence was handcuffed and taken to jail. Police have not released his name, but say he's facing DUI charges. Tonight, neighbors relieved the 2 victims walked away with only minor injuries. In Spokane, Kyle Simchuk, KREM 2 News.
Also new tonight, Lori Vallow, the Idaho woman convicted of murdering her 2 children and conspiring to kill her husband's late wife, is planning to appeal her conviction. Vallow's attorneys have filed 16 appeals asking the Idaho Supreme Court to review all aspects of her case, from her guilty verdict to her final sentencing in July to life in prison. Vallow is currently in the process of being extradited to Arizona to face charges there. Her husband, Chad Daybell, is scheduled for his own murder trial in Idaho coming up early next year. Meantime, we have new details on the Oregon Road fire. Officials confirming the 10,000-acre fire was human-caused, but the Washington Department of Natural Resources says we likely won't know exactly how it was started for several weeks.
There's lots of different ways humans can start fires. It could be a debris pile that got away from somebody. A railroad can spark a fire. Chains dragging on the side of a highway can start a fire. Farming.
DNR says once investigators determine where the fire began, they can start asking how it began. This includes assessing the area around the origin point and interviewing neighbors about what they may have seen or heard that day. Meantime, in Hawaii, the Lahaina fire on Maui is now 100% contained. The fire started early last month, burning some 2,200 acres and destroying the historic town. 115 people were killed. According to the governor, there are 41 people still reported missing, but a list compiled by the FBI and the Red Cross has the names of 385 people who are still unaccounted for tonight. All right, let's talk weather. After a cool and wet Labor Day, the sunshine returned today. It looks like it'll be sticking around for a while. Let's get straight to meteorologist Michelle Boss for more on our forecast. Michelle?
Yeah, we have great weather on the way for the rest of the week and into the weekend. There will be some minor differences tomorrow from what we saw today, and we can see those on our satellite and radar loop. You're starting to see some clouds appear in the western half of the state. We are going to see more cloud cover tomorrow. We'll call it partly to mostly cloudy at times. Shouldn't see any rain out of these clouds, and temperatures will actually be pretty similar to what we saw today. Temperatures right now generally in the 50s and 60s, cooler up north of Spokane at Deer Park and Sandpoint. 64 right now in Spokane, and generally 60s across central and far southeastern Washington. For the kids headed off to school early tomorrow morning, some of the cooler spots will be in the middle and upper 40s. Elsewhere, we'll see temperatures in the lower 50s, but we'll be warming up nicely. Even with partly to mostly cloudy skies, we will see highs back up in the mid 70s tomorrow. More sunshine on Thursday, 76, and continuing to warm up on Friday with the chance of a few morning sprinkles. Otherwise, the afternoon looks great and the evening looks great as well. High of 78.
All right, sounds good, Michelle. Thank you very much. Meantime, happening tomorrow, the man accused of shooting and killing another man near Franklin Park is set to be arraigned. 42-year-old Jose Matthews is accused of shooting 26-year-old Darnell Pluff. Matthews is also on trial for assaulting his ex-girlfriend, who he was in a long-term relationship with. And according to court documents, she is the one who turned him into police for that shooting. Tomorrow, Matthews is expected to enter a plea, and we could learn a trial date for him. And now to our night beat with a quick look at today's top stories. One man's in jail after an hours-long standoff with police that prompted a shelter-in-place order this morning in Moscow. Moscow police say 54-year-old Thomas Adams fired several shots at around 2 o'clock this morning on South Almond Street. Police say when they arrived, Adams barricaded himself in his home. After 7 hours of refusing to come out, officers say they used tasers and tear gas to bring the standoff to an end. Adams now faces several charges, including unlawful discharge of weapons. No officers were hurt. Meantime, Sac Builder is facing a $16,800 fine from the state for safety violations after a Spokane woman was killed on the job earlier this year. Anna Vetter died at the site of the new Spokane Tribe Casino in Airway Heights back in March. L&I said platforms used in concrete formwork were not the right size, were missing the required safety pins and supports, and that employees were not given safety documentation. Vetter's family spoke with KREM 2 today. They said they feel that no one is being held accountable for her death.
And the citation doesn't mention anything about that this scaffolding, faulty scaffolding, killed a person.
KREM 2 reached out to L&I for more information. We have not yet, though, heard back. Meantime, Narcan now available at local grocery and drug stores over the counter. Naloxone, commonly known as Narcan, can safely reverse an opioid overdose. It's a life-saving tool that stores like Walmart and Rite Aid are now selling in stores and online without the need for a prescription. So we checked Walmart.com, and the drug is already available for pickup today across several stores in Spokane County. The 2-dose box costs about $45. And that was your Night Beat. To learn more about any of these stories, you can find them on our website. Just head to KREM.com. In national news this evening, a record sentencing for Proud Boy leader Enrique Tarrio was handed down today. 22 years in prison, the stiffest punishment to be handed down yet for the January 6th Capitol attacks. Tarrio was emotional today as he asked the judge to be merciful, but the judge felt that remorse was a little too late.
Jury agreed with the government that he directed this, that he recruited the individuals who were in place and led the assault on the Capitol with the express intention of preventing the peaceful transfer of power.
His Proud Boys co-defendants received sentences ranging from 10 to 18 years, one of whom shouted "Trump won" in the courtroom moments after his sentencing ended. New tonight, a major twist in the family murder trial of Alex Murdoch. His attorneys are demanding a new trial claiming jury tampering. They say the Colton County clerk, Rebecca Hill, jury tampered to write a book about the case.
The clerk of court had improper private communications with the jurors. Don't be fooled by his testimony. Watch out for his body language.
Last March, Murdoch was found guilty of murdering his wife Maggie and son Paul, gunned down on their hunting estate by long rifles at short range. Hill, the county clerk, has yet to comment on the allegations. The court has 10 days to respond. New tonight, recently released data in Idaho is showing an increase in human trafficking cases. From 2021 to 2022, the state saw a 271% increase in human trafficking. That's according to data from Idaho's Uniform Crime Report. And now a local organization is doing what it can to bring those numbers down.
When we talk about safe housing, it is off the grid. Law enforcement doesn't know where it's at. Probation and parole is not allowed to come over. Nobody comes over. And so for the first time in many, many of these women's lives, they are safe.
Paula said they are starting to see real impacts from their program, and they now partner with law enforcement to make sure people are safe. A new Oregon law that goes into effect this month will allow healthcare facilities to return amputated body parts to patients. This is for cultural, spiritual, and religious reasons. It's something that tribal leaders have been pushing for. Those who spearheaded the bill say they worded their draft of a similar bill here in Washington, where it's already in effect. And that was your KREM 2 News 10 at 10, where you get more news in less time.